Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 21st episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm in a tank top because I'm feeling good about myself today. I am joined by my co-host, Nicholas O'Brien. How are you doing, Nicholas O'Brien?
I'm doing good. I'm comfy.
You're comfy?
I'm comfy.
Yes.
I like my hoodies. You
Yes.
like your tank tops.
Yes.
We are not the same.
We are not the same. I'm an Eskimo. You belong on a beach somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
I had no plan going into this.
How are you? I feel like you always ask how I am.
Never asked
I don't
how
think
I
I
am.
ever asked how you're doing.
Everyone asks what the dog doing. No one asks how the dog doing.
How's the dog doing?
I am doing. Barney and Band-Aid are doing very good. They're two little fluffy babies.
Okay, how are you doing?
Barney and Band-Aid are doing really good. I am doing wunderbar.
Would you like to explain what that means?
Good.
Okay.
I think in German.
Uh,
I don't know.
Don't look at
It's a fun word to say.
Fair enough. GM meetings.
GM meetings, yay! Baseball, the most not fun season of the year.
Yay!
Let me just preface this with this. We are going to be talking about so many rumors. We know nothing. No one knows anything until pen and paper is signed.
Yes.
Nobody knows anything. Just remember that.
Correct.
We can talk about so many rumors. There was so much rumor saying Bryce Harper was going to be a Yankee, Manny Machado going to be a Yankee.
That Harper guy would never play first base, by the way.
Fuck off. None of that stuff happened. So we could say all the stuff we mean, or all the stuff that we're hearing, but that don't take it as the gospel.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just because we're saying it doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
We are simply just regurgitating what we've read.
People are regurgitating from what they heard from their sources that probably leaked it to fit their narratives.
It's like telephone.
It is. It literally is a game of telephone.
Exactly. So, with that being said,
going to the Bronx.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to. Where are we? The Bronx, I think.
yeah.
We're in the Bronx now.
Look at the background. Come on.
But that is the. Look at
It's the colors.
Look at the colors.
It's
Look
the
at the
thing.
colors. Wait, right here you could see the title. Right there, over there by you. You gotta do it. I feel so bad for people on Spotify.
I can't reach.
But you could. Can I reach?
It's up there.
Look at those lats.
It's up there.
I feel bad for people on Spotify.
I know they can't see all
They
this.
can't see. They can.
This
see
is
my
why you should
muscles.
also watch it on YouTube.
Watch on YouTube. Watch on YouTube.
Watch on YouTube and Spotify at the same time.
No, what you should do. I think I know. We're
probably gonna say the same thing. Go ahead.
You mute YouTube, but listen on Spotify for no reason.
Yes.
Other than to give us double views.
Oh yeah.
Only
definitely.
reason.
The more you watch us, the more we gain.
The happier we get.
The happier we get, the happier the podcast gets, the more content we could put out.
3 bananas.
What? Monkey never
Kadam.
Anyways.
If you know, you know. So, do I start with the big boy thing?
Yes,
We're gonna start with the
absolutely.
big boy
I think
thing?
we have to.
Brian
King Neptune.
Cashman.
Is that it again?
The one thing that I could always say about Brian Cashman is he was at least somewhat respectful in the media.
Somewhat.
That was the thing you could say.
Oh, that you
before
could
this.
say. Yeah.
You could say he was respectful and he wasn't bad in the media.
Yeah.
That changed on Tuesday.
That took a turn.
So, little preface. GM meeting started, so they're interviewing GMs, all this type of stuff.
How does your team suck? What are you gonna do to not make your team suck?
There are some quotes here. So, and I don't know the order that he said the quotes in. I just put together a bunch of the quotes. Number 1, he called the Yankees last year pretty fucking good.
I think we're pretty fucking good.
You were 2 games above 500.
It's not good, pal.
That is not good.
That's fine.
Whatsoever.
That's quite literally average.
That is average. As the Yankees, you were not supposed to be average.
Yeah.
That is your worst season in a while. You can't. I know, that's falling on deaf ears for Mets fans.
Yeah.
But that's your worst season in a while. and you're making it sound like you won 100 games.
Right. Or like you just missed it. Like you were
No,
just a piece
You
away.
were so off.
No.
Just
Delusional.
and then, so are we just gonna like go over all the quotes and then go into it, or are we gonna like talk about more?
Dissect it one by one, maybe.
Do you want to do dissect it one by one?
Sure.
Okay, you go with that one then.
You know, yeah. There's not much else to say about that one.
Just the arrogance.
Yeah, exactly.
The arrogance.
It's very. It's a bad look, to say the least. But I think it gets worse.
Oh, it definitely gets worse. So, everyone was saying, like, someone asked him, like, what the. Kind of just like. They asked him what was his response to people saying the Yankees were, like, too analytically driven. His response was, no one is doing their deep dives. They're just throwing ammunition and bullshit and accusing us of being run analytically. To be said we're guided by analytics as a driver is a lie. By the way, all the curse words and everything, I'm directly quoting him.
Yeah.
He is saying this in the national media.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about that quote?
Is
there's a stat I saw. Did you see the stat?
Does it have to do with the analytic department?
He said that they have the smallest analytical department in the AL East.
Yeah.
You saw the stat.
I think so.
They have the second biggest analytical department in baseball.
Yeah. I think what that classifies as is like
Is
research and development. Yeah, most employees in the research and development department.
How are you going to say this? Like, it's not like you can like justify that and say like, oh well, the employees. No, if you have the second most employees, there is no way you have the smallest in the AL East.
Right.
That makes zero sense.
And I don't think it's
a flex either.
Yeah, I don't think it's a flex to say, we have a small analytics department.
Yeah, what did that get you?
Right. Whether you like it or not, analytics are a huge part of baseball now, and you need to have a big and good analytics department that help you make decisions. So to say that's a small department,
especially over 162, everything averages out.
Right.
So all that matters, like I think playoffs are different. Like I think analytics are a lot more important in the regular season than playoffs.
Definitely.
Just because it's such a longer like sample size that you
right.
All that matters is the numbers, but the postseason's obviously
it's a lot more
very
feel.
Different.
Yeah.
It's a lot more feel, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that quote is what he expected the media to get out of it.
But what do you expect to get out of it?
Right, that's the other thing. Like, what were you trying to say? Like,
it's different if you made a point and actually like it had some ground to it. But if you're doing a point and saying that no one is doing their deep dives, then someone does a deep dive and takes 5 minutes to do it. I think it was like a sporkle.
Mm-hmm.
Or what is it? Statistica?
Statista?
Statista, however
something
you pronounce
like that.
it.
Yeah.
Which, like, just for people that don't know, they do, like, a lot of, like, stuff with, like, is it only with sports? Whatever, with sports, they may do other things where it, like, goes over, like, revenues and has, like, I've done a lot of, like, projects using them as a thing.
Yeah.
As, like, a source. Very trusted source.
Yes.
It literally takes 2 minutes to find that chart, and you're saying no one's doing their deep dives because they don't need to.
Right.
Because it literally takes a Google search.
Yeah.
If you are the GM of the New York Yankees, and you go on and you're adamant about something, and you're cursing people out, and your argument can be disproven by a 2-second Google search.
Yeah.
That is an issue.
Yeah. It's a very... I'm gonna be saying this a lot, but it's a very bad look.
That is a horrible look. I'm trying to find something that okay, I guess I closed it. That is fun. Whatever. Do you have anything more to say about that?
No. Just one, he lied.
Yes.
Basically. And two, it's not a good thing to have a small analytics department, but you do you, I guess.
It is. His arrogance is just on my last. It's
getting on your nerves.
It's different if you're arrogant and you're right.
Yeah.
Because then that's just like confidence. That's over. Arrogance when you're right is overconfidence.
Yeah.
Which like that could be an issue like with too much, But I'd rather a guy be confident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Than like not. But it's like when you're just wrong,
Right.
then it's just
Bad. Just from like forget about like what he said and what he didn't say. Just the way he went about it is just extremely unprofessional.
for any GM. That's unprofessional.
Yeah.
But for the New York Yankees,
Right.
like you could say whatever you want about like the prestige and all that, but that's their icon.
That's their brand.
That's their brand.
Yeah.
And you're going against that brand, and like it's not like he's like a first-year GM.
Right. He's been at this.
He's been there for
decades.
over 20 years.
Yeah.
Shocker. They've only won one ring with a team he put together, and that's because Hal literally gave him a checkbook.
Right.
Because everyone gives this is a side note. Everyone gives him credit for the like 90s dynasty rings. He wasn't the GM until 98.
Right.
Stick Michael put all that stuff together.
Yeah.
The teams were literally gifted to him on a
I was just gonna say
platter.
he was handed it.
He was handed the teams.
Yeah. And then once you start actually putting a roster together himself, look where we are.
It's just, and like I'm gonna defend Hal when I say this. You gave this guy a $260 million payroll, and this is what he puts together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different because at least with like a team like the Mets, they tried addressing their issues.
Right.
The Yankees didn't.
Yeah.
Everyone knew their issues were this, and this going into the season. They did nothing.
Right.
The Mets at least tried addressing them and didn't work out.
Right.
And what'd you do? You hedged your bet and you got some great prospects.
Right. You cut your losses. You decided that obviously this isn't working, and I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but I respect Cohen and Epler too, realizing their faults and doing what they did at the trade deadline.
I said that I think the Mets had a worse record, but I think they had a better season. When you consider setting up for the future.
Yes.
In that sense of they realized it didn't work out.
Right.
So we're gonna eat the money because
Yeah.
we're a New York team. We have the market.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat the money because it doesn't matter, and
it's a sunk cost, and it's quite literally one of the main points of economics that that I've learned here. That once you buy something and you can't return it, like it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you paid Verlander $40 million, you paid Scherzer $40 million. That $40 million isn't going anywhere, so at least get something in return instead of just rolling it out day after day.
Exactly. Just because you're telling me that, like, I'm just saying, for example, Harrison Bader, you put on waivers.
Yeah.
You're telling me no one, like, you couldn't have got, like, even, like, a bum prospect for it?
Right,
because
something.
The Yankees traded for Lucas Licky. They DFA'd him in the offseason. They traded him for Caleb Durbin. And now he's, like, rising up the prospect rankings. He, like, killed it in the Arizona Fall League.
Right. And that's what you need.
It's like you never know those lottery
just need a
pickers.
body.
Like the Joey Gallo trade. They traded for Clayton Beeter. He's a name that's coming up in trade talks.
Right.
You never know when you trade for prospects what they're going to be.
Right.
Worst case scenario, they're trade bait.
Yeah.
So it's just...
poor management.
It is. Anything else to say about the analytics department and all that?
No, I think we covered it.
But somehow, it gets worse. So, just a little backstory. So, Ben Ruda, is that how you say it? Ruda.
I think so.
Ruda. No disrespect. I honestly don't know how to say it because I agree with him. So he's a former Yankees farmhand, and so he was on Foul Territory.
With Rosenthal, yeah.
He was on the Foul Territory podcast, which is like a pretty popular baseball podcast.
Besides us, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And he pretty much like talked about how the Yankees like organization. Let's see if I can find the quote exactly. I have it on an article, but my computer being dumb. Whatever. He pretty much like talked about how like there's a disconnect between the organization and the players and how like it wasn't run well.
Right.
So then Cashman calls him Bitter Boy.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember that.
Oh no! It gets worse than just that. It gets so much worse than that. So we called him Bitter Boy, and said you guys gave him he's talking to the media when he says this. You guys gave him a platform. This organizational player ripping away from on what's wrong with our player development department as he flushed out with us and ended up in another organization. He wasn't even as good there as he was with us. Citing, and then it's just like their like thing that they use to analyze prospects.
Mm-hmm.
It's HITF/X.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But saying that it was our important numbers, and Cashman was saying he said it doesn't include strikeouts. He doesn't even know what it does, that it does include strikeouts, but he's getting a platform and everyone sings about what ails the Yankees, and it's like, how is this even happening? It's embarrassing to have stuff like this play out. But hey, when you're losing, you guys are gonna gravitate toward whatever you want to say and say, "See, I got you."
Yeah.
What?
He did like talk about bitter. Like he sounds
Dude.
bitter. Like he sounds like a guy who's like stressing out. Like
Yes.
who's like on the verge of like having a meltdown almost.
Yes.
Like he just seemed so like unhinged and just nervous and stressed. There's a word I'm thinking of and I can't think of it. That really puts it
Unhinged?
together besides unhinged. I don't know.
He's at his breaking point.
Basically,
I get what you mean,
because like
yeah.
he just seemed so like on edge, really. Like he was like obviously he was snapping at reporters. He was going back and forth with reporters, and
Yeah. This
was-
is Ben Ruda. I'm again sorry for mispronouncing that. He like responded, or like, cause Chris Kirshner, who writes for the Athletic, he like wrote something about it on Twitter, and so he quote tweeted that saying headline, like he was making like a fake headline,
Yeah.
quote unquote bitter boy Brian Cashman doesn't know how many current players in his own org feel, and current I love ads. I love ads when they just pop up out of nowhere. And then he put in parentheses, and former Yankee players now in other orgs reached out in support of Ben Ruda following his foul territory clips. And then he said embarrassing that he doesn't have a pulse on his own organization.
Yeah. He put it best. It's quite embarrassing that he doesn't seem to understand his own organization.
Exactly. And just, you coming out and calling people bitter boy it's pathetic.
Yeah.
I don't care what if you're the Reds, if you're calling someone out, that's horrible.
Right.
You don't call out former players.
No.
Because why would a player want to sign with you if they know that you're going to call them out?
Right. It can turn off a lot of, forget about players, just, executives and other employees. Like, oh, if I don't have a good time here and I leave, they'll turn around and just talk shit about me, essentially.
It's different if it's the fans, because everyone
Right.
knows that's like going to be a thing playing in New York.
Yeah.
When the organization
Yeah.
does that, that's quoting a famous New Yorker. It's feeble.
Feeble.
It's feeble. It's pathetic
Yeah.
to do that, and just
Definitely.
it's like one of those things that like you can't even talk about it at length
Right.
because it's so common sense
Right.
that there's not much to say.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah, that GM extension's not looking too hot right now.
horrible. And so, do you have anything else to say about that?
No.
Just kind of like the aftermath of it.
Yeah.
I forget who it was, but I was seeing reports that are coming out that Hal is like furious at Cashman.
I saw that too, yeah.
And that there's increasing tension in the organization between Cashman and other execs and Cashman and Judge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just...
Another thing that I don't think we really touched on is Hal's press conference and Cashman's press conference had two totally different vibes.
Exactly.
Like, there's the disconnect right there. Forget about the GM and the players, GM and the organization. The owner and the GM having that big of a disconnection, that's an issue. Especially when I feel like, Cashman's been like Hal's quote-unquote guy. Like, Hal going out there saying, like, it was a bad season, we have to get better. And then Cashman turning around, being one of the first things to say in his press conference is that he thought the team was really good.
No.
Really fucking good?
Pretty fucking good.
Pretty fucking good? Like, that's bad.
That's horrible. And just, like... I didn't even think about it that way, but that's like a perfect way to put it. Because
Yeah.
like how his entire family's legacy is the New York Yankees.
Right.
He wants to live up to his father's reputation. I hate when people say that, like, oh, Hal's like not like his father. He doesn't care. He obviously cares about it. He may not be the best with
Right.
it. Like he may not have the like skills of it, but he obviously does care. Saying he doesn't is stupid. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
So that he may even take it as an insult on his family.
Right.
Like you can honestly like make it like he may take it that way because everything he's done for Cashman.
Yeah.
And he's pulling this shit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like,
I am hoping that they're having some talks behind closed doors about that because they have to be.
They
They
have
have to be because it was embarrassing that how Cashman went about it and how disconnected the entire organization feels.
I think that there's a lot of times when the media will overreact to things. I think if anything, they're underreacting to this.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
Like this has
been one of the worst looking like press conferences in like overarching feeling of an organization. I feel like this is like one of the worst moments. Like
this century.
It's just a really bad look. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just a really bad
Especially
look.
for the New York Yankees. Like
Yeah.
this, it's pathetic.
Right.
It's a thing of I don't have any words.
Basically,
there's no more
I think
words
that's why I'm struggling so much trying to wrap my head around it because.
And this stuff happened
shouldn't be
Tuesday.
happening. Yeah.
And we still can't find the words.
Right. And it's tough because it shouldn't be happening. Forget about the Yankees. Just from a professional standpoint, you're a high-ranking.
GW would be pissed.
That's what I'm saying. From a high-ranking executive position, going on a tangent like that, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling, but I don't know if you had the whole like back and forth between Joel Sherman.
I didn't know. That's all I have.
Right. So real quick, he had a back and forth with Joel Sherman, who writes for the New York Post, about Yankees player development, and they're kind of talking about Peraza a little more specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, Joel Sherman was kind of calling out the Yankees for not being able to develop hitters, and saying how Peraza didn't play because he didn't hit.
I wouldn't even say calling out.
What do you mean?
I would say he brought up a fair point.
Oh yeah.
Like calling out makes it seem like it's a vendetta.
Right.
He brought up a fair point.
Yeah.
Like he said, "Why didn't you do this?"
Right.
He was asking a question, and dude,
yeah.
sorry, I just want to.
No, you're good. But basically, Peraza didn't hit, so he didn't play. Then Cashman fired back, saying, "Well, where is he gonna play? He didn't get enough time to play. Where are you gonna play him?" And just the way that I highly recommend everyone to just watch it on their own.
Yeah.
Because us talking about it does not do justice
you
on
can find
how
it on
bad.
Twitter, YouTube, like I
Yeah.
don't want to say it on.
But basically, they were going back and forth, and Cashman was just like barking back at him, kind of like snapping at him, like
Yeah.
who are you gonna play him over? Are you gonna play him over DJ? Are you gonna play him over Volpe? Are you gonna play him over Glaber? Like he sounds like a child, honestly.
It literally all you have to say is there's nowhere to play, and we felt that
Right.
we had the best players at their best positions, and it was best for the team then.
Unprepared, I think, is a great way to kind of tie it all together. Cashman looked completely unprepared for that press conference.
I don't think so. When you have that, he's been doing this for this many years.
Yeah.
To the point where he can almost get by in a somewhat okay manner without preparation.
Right.
I don't care how unprepared you are. This is not going to happen unless you're just a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only positive, and I'm stretching this so hard when I say this, maybe he's so angry he's going to go scorched earth and sign everyone.
Yeah.
That is the only way I could stretch this.
Right.
And even then, it's like...
Do you trust him to do that?
No.
Right.
I have nothing more on him.
Yeah. No, I think unprofessional, unprepared, child.
Yes.
That's what this press conference told me about Cashman.
Yes. Just you can't
Again,
do that.
yeah.
Like,
Again, I
that's-
highly recommend everyone to go look at those clips because this does not do it justice.
This is a fireable offense in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially for a guy that's on such a short lease.
Yeah.
I think that should have been he should have been fired the next day.
Right.
Like there should have been reports come out that he was done.
Yeah.
Or like suspended, taking time away from the team.
Right.
Something.
Yeah.
It's
Bad look.
horrible look. So,
So.
on to off-season rumors.
Yay, the fun stuff.
The fun
Woo!
So, the number one guy. For me, I've been thinking it over, and I think getting Yamamoto is so much more important than I realized.
Mm-hmm.
Because, should I just start with the quotes that reporters are saying and then go into why?
Sure.
Okay, so Buster Only, probably, I would say the Passan's ESPN, right?
Yeah.
So the second best?
Probably.
Like, second best or most reputable
Yeah.
writer for ESPN, Buster Only, he said that the Yankees will quote-unquote blow away the field when it comes to Yamamoto. A couple other things. This is a quote by Andy Martino. How do you feel about Martino? Do you think he has credibility? I think he has a decent fit for New York.
He has credibility, but the way he goes about things are questionable, if that makes sense.
I think when it comes to New York, he has a decent
from
amount.
From an information standpoint, he obviously has, sources. But it's just the way he portrays some of the information,
bias.
I feel like, a little bit of bias, but regardless.
Would you say the top two people for Yamamoto are the Yankees and the Mets?
I would probably think so.
At worst, two of the top three.
Yeah.
Whatever. Regardless, two of the top guys. Did you see this quote?
Probably.
He said that bidding hasn't even started yet, but the strong early feel at GM meetings from people in the know is that the Mets would have a tougher time landing him than the Yankees, but both are in.
Right.
How do you feel about that overall?
Let me just say that right before he said that quote, he said that the Mets are going to be all over Yamamoto.
I didn't see that.
So it was literally 5 minutes apart, and this is where I get my
bias.
Yeah, because the Mets are going to be all over Yamamoto, but they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, he said tougher time.
Right, they're going to have a tougher time, but if they're going to be all over him, then why are they having a tougher time?
I think it's just what the other reports are, because so many people are saying the Yankees are going to go all in on him.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between blowing away the field and being all over someone.
Right.
There is a difference there. And I think that the Yankees also have a better, especially with Epler gone, they have a better track record with international players.
Fair.
So I think that's that could be part of it too.
Another thing that people are talking about, but we haven't touched on, and I don't know too much about it, so I'm not going to talk about it in length. But I know in Japan that there's a lot, their culture is very based on seniority. So I've read that sometimes Japanese players wouldn't want to play with other Japanese players because of that seniority thing. So I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not sure how Yamamoto
Senga
is about it. But yeah, because the Mets have Senga, I'm not sure how much of that is a positive or it's a negative. Because Senga is older than Yamamoto. So I'm not sure if, again, I don't know too much about the culture, but I know that's just one thing about it. So I'm not sure how that works.
Is that only Japanese or is that in all Asian thing?
Not sure. I just saw.
The only reason I'm
Japanese.
asking is because Jung Hoo Lee, another guy that I want, is he's Korean.
He's Korean. Yeah.
So I didn't know if that's a thing that's kind of transfers over or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I'm not sure. But yeah, that's.
I never heard about that.
Yeah. Neither have I, but it's definitely something to kind of keep an eye on because again, I'm not sure how.
Your mind.
Yeah, how Yamamoto feels about it, but.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of just that's basically how it makes me feel. Just
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that, but.
Okay. Now the reasons why they need to get him. I want you to guess what the Yankees' ERA was outside by starters not named Garrett Cole.
Oh, I saw this. They start with an 8.
No.
They start with a 6.
No.
Oh, I thought it was worse.
That would have been no.
I thought it was so much worse.
No.
Okay.
It's still horrible, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw this. I just can't remember.
5.03.
5. Yeah.
That is
Where did
horrible.
they get 8 from?
I
Whatever.
don't know where you got that from.
Still bad.
That
Still
is
bad.
so bad.
Right.
From starter and like, my thing is like so many people are gonna say, "Oh, guys were hurt, this that." Yeah, guys, starting pitchers get hurt every fucking year.
Side note, because that just reminded me of something that Cashman said about injuries, where he's like, "Yeah, injuries are gonna happen. We got injured, whatever." He put a roster together
That's injury prone.
that's extremely injury prone. So yeah, no shit, injuries are gonna happen. But that's enough.
That's kind of the argument I was gonna make.
Yeah.
Just Rodon. He's had injury concerns his entire career.
If only someone warned you
Shut
about
up.
that.
Nestor
So
Cortez.
sorry.
I think he'll be fine injury wise, but you never know what you're gonna get from him. Michael King, he's been good other than blowing out his elbow in a freak accident. He's been good. He looked great as a starter.
Right.
Clark Schmidt is Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're getting from your starting pitching, so it's one of those things of like you need another starter.
Yeah.
And he's 25 years old. I think it's more the sense of like you said, like, oh, like you don't want to like sign another pitcher to a contract with what they have. There's never going to be a pitcher like him on the market.
Yeah.
A 25-year-old absolute super stud. That is the guy you open the checkbook for.
Yeah.
That is why people are freaking out about Soto, because he's so young, and to be able to just get a guy like that that's going to be a cornerstone of your franchise for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, forget what you think about Soto, but just the fact that he's going to reach free agency at such a young age is just unheard of.
That's what I think. That's Yamamoto's best selling point.
Yeah, that he's
no matter
25.
he's an incredible pitcher, one of the best in Japan, if not the best in Japan.
Yeah.
But him being 25, that just means he could get better.
Yeah.
You never know if he could get better.
He's still learning. Basically.
He is still learning.
Yeah.
And just I think it's one of those things of the money can't matter with a guy like this. Just the intangibles plus the revenue, all the marketing opportunities, everything like that.
Yeah.
Just because think about what happened with Japan in Shohei Ohtani, where he signed with the Angels, and how many people watched the Angels? Where like Tyler Wade became an international superstar because
he played with Ohtani.
Because he played with Ohtani, and it's
Yeah.
just like how like Japanese fans were like fanboying over Tyler Wade because he was so handsome and all. Like that is the type of stuff you can get. Obviously, I'm not saying he's gonna be Ohtani level of that, but it's also a thing of Angels, Yankees. The Yankees are already a much more global brand.
Right.
That it's going to be so much easier to make them that much bigger.
Right.
Because everyone knows who the Yankees are.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like...
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think he pays for himself and then some.
I will just double down on my take from last episode where I don't think the Yankees need to spend big on starting pitching.
Even after I said they had a 5+ ERA from starters not named Garrett Cole.
Yes, because you can still win with a starter who has a 3.5, a low 4.
But that's not a 3.5 low 4.
Obviously, but I'm saying you don't need to go out and sign Yamamoto. You can go out and sign some more mid-level guys and spread the money around. Because if the problem was only starting pitching, go for Yamamoto. But there's a lot more than just starting pitching that needs to be addressed. So I just think you should spend the money.
But there's also ways that you could address that without spending a lot of money.
Such as?
Should I just get into them now? Are you done with all your points of Yamamoto?
Basically.
So the next one is Brendan Donovan. I don't know how you feel about him. How do you feel? Let me ask you first.
I like him a lot. I do. He is the Cardinals' Jeff McNeil who hits for more power. I would say so.
Maybe more power, but in 210 games, he has 16 home runs.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, when he says more power, he doesn't mean
the bar is not very high when I compare him to Jeff McNeil.
I'm just, like, saying so people know it's not, like, expecting a 20+ home run at minimum.
No, he's like 15. Max, but still.
I don't know.
I think the Yankees could use someone like him just from a contact standpoint. Because that's what he really brings. Forget about power.
It's so tough for me. Because, like, I go back and forth with him because you have injury concerns with him.
Yeah.
He's going to be 27 years old when the season starts. He has little to no pop. Obviously, I just out of that because that is a concern.
He is a lefty for those who don't know.
Switch hitter, I thought.
Lefty.
Lefty?
Lefty.
Oh, I thought he was a switch hitter.
Lefty.
He is gonna cost a lot because he has 4 years of control.
Yeah.
So it's like that, like yeah.
I also don't think the
that's only my negatives,
Cardinals.
but go on.
I also don't think the Cardinals would deal him.
Really?
I don't think so. I think they would deal Carlson first before Donovan.
I thought they were willing just because of how much buzz he had.
I'm not sure.
Well, I
haven't
don't
read
think
too
it
much
would make
about
that
Cardinals.
much sense to like. I didn't either, but why would he be getting so much buzz if they weren't willing to deal him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Fair.
why would reporters waste all their time and like arguably ruin their credibility?
Yeah.
If he was never on the market to begin with.
Fair enough. I think the Cardinals are also just at a spot where they can deal someone away, especially from the outfield, because I mean, he's a utility guy, like, at the end of the day, but...
That's one of the positives of that, so go on.
Right, but I think their outfield is so full, and their infield is kind of set, or at least is going to be set in the next coming years, that they can deal away a Donovan, or a Carlson, or maybe even a O'Neill, but regardless...
I would not. O'Neill would be...
Oh, absolutely not.
He would be so...
But
I think for a team like the Mets, I think he would be pretty solid. You take out the injury... I know that's, like, the big thing.
Yeah.
With injuries.
Okay.
But I think that, like, from a pure what you would have to give up from him, I think for the Mets, that'd be worth it to trade for him. As, like, a fourth outfielder, just in the sense
You're not trading Tyler O'Neill to be a fourth outfielder.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have that many years of control, though.
Still, you're not... If you trade for Tyler O'Neill, he's in your starting.
I mean, in the sense
lineup.
of worst case scenario.
I wouldn't want to. I feel like he would.
He has 1 year of control left.
Oh, so he's a free agent after 24.
Well, I think 'cause he played 6 years, so
Right.
I'd assume that's 1 year of control left.
Right. I mean, obviously the injuries scare me, but
It's 1 year. It's not going to cost much
I beg to differ.
for 1 year when he hasn't been that good recently. For what
I don't know.
Just because of what the Mets need.
Yeah, they need an outfielder, but they don't need an injury-prone outfielder because they already have one of Marte. We don't need the both corners to have to worry about them breaking a hip by turning left.
Yeah, I don't know, just something.
I'm not a fan of it, but to be fair, I haven't looked that much into it. But regardless,
I didn't look into either. That's
Yeah.
just like you said that, so that just like idea popped in my mind. I don't know how.
I do like Donovan as a fit for the Yankees.
It's just the health that like
I didn't think he was like that injury prone.
he played 120 games and then 90 games as both seasons.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I know last year he was hurt a couple
And the
times.
first year he was too.
Really?
I'm
I
pretty
didn't
sure
know
he
that.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like that worries me.
Yeah.
His strikeouts are pretty high, which is another thing where it's like
Yeah, you don't need
more.
that.
But it's
I thought he was much better.
let me. Now you see, I did too.
Yeah,
But then
like-
I actually looked into the numbers. Like let me. His on base I will say is really nice.
Yeah.
Cause in let me enhance.
Enhance.
He had his first year. He played 126 games. He had a 394 on base, and this year he played in 95 games, had a 365. So it's like
Solid.
it is, but for how much you're gonna have to, and he is a Gold Glover.
Yeah.
I will say that. But for what you would have to give up, that's like a
little too much, probably.
for me at least.
Yeah.
Especially with that health,
Yeah.
it's just it's not like he's a stolen base guy either.
Yeah.
He has 7 career stolen bases.
Right.
And just okay, strikeouts are not as bad as I thought. Never mind. He struck out 70 times in 120 games. Never mind. I thought. It was,
Oh yeah. That's
I thought it was in the hundreds. I must be thinking of someone else.
Yeah.
But just it's tough.
It is tough.
Cause like he is a. I don't know.
Yeah. I think, but if you're trading for him, he's probably playing outfield, right?
Yeah. He'd play
So I feel at that point I would rather trade for like a primary
That's why
outfielder.
I don't like. But it's a thing of if you wanted to, you could get him for no money.
Yeah.
You could get him for just prospects.
Right.
So that's just a guy
Yeah.
I wanted to mention. Then the other two that I just want to like bring up. So, Soto there's a lot of conflicting reports.
Oh my
on
God,
him.
yeah.
AJ Preller and Scott Boras, so that's the GM, right? GM, not owner.
Yep,
GM of the Padres and Scott Boras' agent both say like, no, he won't get moved. But all insiders are saying like the Padres have to move him. Like, there's no way around it. What does that sound like to you? Or like, what's your take on it?
That to me sounds like Preller is going to do everything in his power to extend him. If they don't come to an agreement, he's traded.
I disagree.
Really?
I think it's just posturing where they can't say that, oh
yeah, we're going to trade him.
I think it's a thing of they both have to like stand pat so that they can get more prospect return, and 2, get him a better deal when he gets traded.
Fair.
Because it could be like, oh, we're willing to give him this much money, and they could just make up a random number.
Yeah.
So then that team would be like, okay, we'll give him this.
Right.
That's kind of what it sounds like to me. Because if all the insiders are saying he's gone.
Yeah.
All the people that are so connected to all the teams and like the MLB executives and all that are saying like, yeah, he's gonna get traded.
Yeah.
And they don't have the money to extend him.
Right.
Like, how many long-term contracts would that team have for a team that doesn't have money?
Just off the top of my head, you have Machado, obviously, who just signed an extension before this year. You signed Bogarts. You signed Tatis. You have Darvish for what? What was it? Like, it was like something crazy. It was like 6 years or something. Who else?
Musgrove. Is it Musgrove or Musgrave?
Musgrove.
Yeah.
You have Cronenworth, who is a shorter term, like 4-year contract. Who am I missing? I think that's it.
And you have a lot of arbitration, though, coming up.
Right. And then Soto's getting at least, this is very
35.
low, but he's getting at least 10 years.
Oh, for a deal.
For a year, yeah.
I think 12.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, low ball,
minimum 12.
10 years, but they're not giving themselves enough flexibility, which is...
Because I think Soto blows past 400 mil.
Probably.
Because, like, what... Because when you said 10 years, I was thinking 40 a year. If that's 400 right there, and I think it's like 12 years.
Yeah.
He may sniff 500. I don't think he's going to get 500.
Yeah.
But I think he'll get close.
I think the max is going to be around like 450.
I think 480 is the max.
Yeah. I think it depends on the term.
But then again, he's not a free agent.
Right.
So that's another part of it. So it's not like you're in a bidding war. Well, kind of are. In a sense, you are.
You're in a bidding war between what Soto values himself as and.
Well, I feel like also Scott Boras may have some influence on Preller. Or like if it's like close packages, he may like ask Soto, where do you want to go? If the packages are to the point where they're even, and they really don't care, like they're both AL teams. You kind of get what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there may be a chance that happens.
Maybe. I mean, just from a personal level.
But it's also Scott Boras.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to account for how much influence he has. So I think that if it was any agent other than Scott Boras, I wouldn't even consider saying that.
Yeah.
But with the most powerful agent in sports.
Scott Boras has his ways.
Yes.
He knows.
I'm thinking of the John Heyman gif. Do you know that one?
Which one?
With Scott Boras and then John Heyman is the puppet.
Oh, really?
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
It's the funniest thing.
That sounds about right. But, yeah, I still think he's getting traded at the end of the day.
I do, too.
So,
they have to.
Yeah. Especially if, like you said, if their cash issues are as big of a deal as...
They want to be at $200 million, and they're on their payroll, they're at 197, and they have probably about $50 million arbitration they have to pay, probably more.
Right.
So I just think that Soto's getting, 30, 35 in arbitration?
He's projected 30, or like 31, 32, So
you're literally cutting down 60% of that by moving one guy while also getting a lot of young talent.
Right. And, that they have, spots to fill, too. Like, before you even talk free agency. If you still want to get to that 200 mark, I think that's why they're trying to shop Cronenworth, too.
Yeah.
Regardless.
That's all I really have
This
on
isn't
Soto.
the Padres podcast.
Yeah, that's all I have on Soto.
Yeah.
But then Cody Bellinger, very conflicting with us too, our opinions on him.
Yes.
John Heyman and is Soto or Bellinger's a Boras guy, right?
I wouldn't be shocked. He probably is.
Because that's the way the deal was set up. We're like, oh, that's a Boras deal.
Yes.
He said that it will be a battle between the Yankees and Cubs for Cody Bellinger. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it?
The Cubs seem to really like him. My only issue with the Cubs is I think they're gonna want him to play first base majority of the time, and I don't think
they're not gonna pay a first baseman.
Exactly, you're not gonna pay a first baseman center fielder money.
Exactly.
So
especially with that bat too. Regardless of the bat, but I'm saying the caliber of bat that he's gonna get paid for.
Right.
You pay a center fielder a lot more money than you pay a first baseman.
Right. And he's gonna be a good defender wherever you put him, but it's just
And I'd say his value is a lot more in center.
Oh, definitely. Which is why he's gonna want to get paid as a center fielder.
Exactly. And just I'm saying more of like the belief because this could either be John Heyman just gassing it up like at the Yankees, but I don't think it is. Just because they have been linked to him for a good amount.
Right.
And it's just whenever you have a Boris client, it's such annoying. Like he's too.
Tell me about it.
How can he keep getting away with this?
Yeah, basically. I mean, good for him. He's making a shit ton of money.
I think his net worth is like $500 million.
Yeah. And like, oh my god. Whatever.
Yeah. He's rich.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's doing well for himself.
That's really all I have on like rumors and stuff like that.
You don't want to talk about the other rumor?
What rumor?
The rumor that you don't like with a certain Massachusetts boy?
Yes.
I think you should at least touch on it a little bit.
Honestly, I completely forgot about that. It's not
because you hate it.
But yeah, I just like put it out of sight.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a rumor that the Yankees want Alex Verdugo and the Red Sox want Gleyber Torres.
Done deal. There you go.
No.
I will say, I forget who just took over for the Red Sox. I don't know his name yet. But he did come out and say that, we like Verdugo, Verdugo's for us, whatever. So, I don't know how well those rumors are, if they're going to trade him or not, but...
Verdugo's an average player.
If that.
At best, he's an average player.
5% above average.
In my mind, he's an average player.
Yes.
You are not trading one of the best second basemen in baseball, which is not hyperbole. Look at the numbers.
That's one thing Cashman got right.
Look at the numbers, if you don't believe me. He's top 5 in every stat, essentially every stat that matters for second baseman. You are not trading that for a guy that has 1 year of controls and an average outfielder at best. I would rather sign Kevin Kiermaier to a deal than trade Gleyber, and I do not want Kevin Kiermaier.
Yeah. We talked about it off camera when the rumor first came out. From a positional need, it makes sense.
When you don't include stats and things
when you
that
don't
matter.
include what the player is, what the player does, and the player in general.
And the teams.
Yeah, exactly. Yankees need an outfielder. Red Sox need a second baseman. Boom. But I would not do that
when
trade
you include
whatsoever.
All the context that matters.
I would absolutely not do that trade. I would be horrible. And I'm sure it wouldn't have been like a 1-for-1, but still.
I don't care.
Yeah.
There is nothing the Red Sox could give that would make me want to do that.
Devers.
That's the only thing you could give. But that's what I'm saying. There's nothing they would realistically give that would make that trade worth it for the
Absolutely
Yankees.
not. Absolutely not.
It's just...
Just thought we should touch on it. Especially since it got you so annoyed.
Yes! Because it's stupid! It's stupid! Brian Cashman wants to talk about bullshit? That's bullshit!
Honestly, I think that Verdugo is pretty fucking good, honestly. I'm leaving.
I can't because this chair is too confined.
Good.
But
Trapped. Can't leave until we're done.
Mom, help!
Anyways.
Yeah, that's all I have.
That's all you got for Yankees rumors?
Yeah. Anything you want to say?
No.
Fuck Brian Cashman. Get Yamamoto. If you get Yamamoto, trade for Brendan Donovan because he only costs prospects.
Queens? Queens.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Queens. So before we get into the GM meetings for the Mets, I would like to highlight a certain Silver Slugger, Francisco Lindor.
No Gold Glove.
Shut up.
If only they knew about that talk.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Lindor won the Silver Slugger, I believe, last night is when they were announced.
Within the last 2 nights.
Right. So it was his first Silver Slugger as a Met, his third for his career. And just to highlight some of his achievements, he tied for WRC Plus with Xander Bogaerts at 122. He led shortstops in slugging, in offensive WAR, in home runs, and OPS with 810. So great season from Lindor. Very happy he got something out of it because I didn't. But
And this just goes to show, like, some people gotta shut up.
about Lindor.
Like, how many people were saying that they needed to trade him? Wasn't
my
worth the
God,
money.
I know.
Stuff like that. And, like, he almost double dipped
Double dipped.
with a Gold Glove.
Oh,
and Silver
yeah.
Slugger. He almost got the best awards, other than MVP, obviously.
Right.
The best awards you could, in Platinum Glove, whatever. But you get
Yes.
the best individual awards you could get for your position.
Yeah.
He almost got both
Both
of
of
them.
them.
He got one of them, and he was, what, second in Gold Glove?
I don't know how the voting worked.
Whatever, but he
yeah.
almost won a. He was a
He was a
finalist for Gold
finalist.
Glove.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was going against 2 damn good defensive shortstops.
Right. It just goes to show he is and will continue to be one of the better shortstops, not only in the
Yes.
National League, but in the entire league.
Yes.
But that's enough of
I
that.
don't care. His batting average is a little too low.
Yeah, exactly. His OPS is over 800 for a shortstop. Like, and he's not going to be Corey Seager, who's just like on another planet. But regardless,
Who, even then, Corey Seager has injury concerns.
Exactly.
Lindor doesn't.
anyways.
Sorry, that's
So we're going to start things off with the new Mets manager, who should be a familiar face or
Yes.
name at the very
Yes.
least. Carlos Mendoza, who was the bench coach for the Yankees. I personally do not know too much about him, but from what I've read, he seems to be very well respected around the league. Obviously, you might have a better idea
Yes. I do
than
not.
me.
He seemed like he was a very players guy.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like everyone in the clubhouse loved him. It's also a thing. I think it was DeComo. DeComo?
DeComo.
I'm so bad at pronouncing names.
It's okay.
He said that, yeah, like, you guys want me to give you an answer on how I feel about this. I can't.
Right.
We're not gonna know until the season comes, and I think that's completely valid.
Right.
And I agree with that too. Where it's like, we won't know because
Until he manages a game. I mean,
he'll manage like 5 innings a month because
Right.
Boone gets ejected.
yeah, exactly.
But like, you can't, because they already have a game plan. They already, like, you can't. I think it's one of those things where from what I saw that like the Yankees were worried for the last couple of years they were gonna lose him.
Right.
So who knows?
He's a hot commodity for some reason.
Yeah.
That sounded a lot worse. He's hot commodity for a reason. So
My only counterpoint is that Boone's in like hot water among people. If he was that good, they would have fired Boone. But
right.
that's the only. Even then, I think that's just like
Stretch me.
stick with the guy you have.
Right.
So
I like it. I know obviously a lot more Mets fans are disappointed because, you know, the top dog was Craig
not Craig
Counsell,
that was
who went to the Cubs,
when they already had a manager.
and they didn't tell David Ross.
That's crazy.
So that happened, and he got like what? It's like, what was it?
He got more money than Ozzy Albies.
I know. What was it? It was 4 years. 5 years?
540.
540? Yeah.
Because it was $8 million.
Yes, it was $8 million a year.
It was $8 million
yeah.
a year, and I remember it being 40. So it's 5.
Yeah. And look, you know, I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, you're just like turning on him now that, you know, he's not Mets manager. But like, to be fair, he manages very well across 162. But like, when was the last time the Brewers got out of the wild card? Or even like.
Other than Christian Yelich being.
Christian
inhuman.
Yelich. Yeah, exactly. I think.
Like, you take that year out.
Right. It's like wild card exit. Let's see. This year, wild card exit. Last year.
They
did.
It?
I don't think they made the playoffs.
2019, they blew a game in the wild card. They blew
right.
the wild card.
2020, whatever. 2020 is 2020, and 2021 is when they made it to the DS.
I don't know.
See, I think it was DS because I know they were playing the Braves, so I want to say DS.
Okay.
But regardless, like, there's not a lot to go off of there.
Yeah.
So.
Then again, it's also like they had no money, pretty much.
Right.
Not like that's gonna improve with Chicago,
Right.
but
A little better.
maybe
And
a
look,
little.
I understand from, a personal perspective that going from Milwaukee to Chicago is a lot better than going from Milwaukee to New York. So I think I saw something like Wrigley from American Family Field. Is that? I'm just gonna call
Brewers.
it Miller Park because that's what it used to be.
Yes, that's what I thought it was called. When you said that, I was like, huh?
But I think it was like a couple hours away. So like obviously the geography played a role into it. But obviously a little
And that's
disappointed.
by car. It's
Right.
probably what, like a 45-minute plane ride?
Yeah,
If
maybe
that.
maybe an hour.
If that.
But obviously everyone's a little disappointed, but I don't hate it just yet because again, he hasn't managed much. Obviously Boone gets ejected every time, a lot of the time. So he has some
Get that over,
experience.
baby.
But, he's been in New York. Again, he's managed a little bit. He's had to handle press conferences post game when Boone got ejected, right?
Even without that, like it's the New York media. They're gonna
Right.
what's it called? Interview anyone they can.
Right. So I don't hate it, but obviously I'm a little more
I think
conflicted, I
the
guess.
right way to feel about this is to feel good that he was sought after by so many people and you got him.
Yes.
But to know you will not know if this is a good move or not until the season starts.
Right.
As long as he doesn't get suspended by baseball.
Right. For some reason. But
Banging a trash can.
uh
And the Mets manager that just got hired would never do that.
no, especially if someone named Carlos. But regardless,
I need to put that together.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that's where I'll put it. Wrap it up in a bow.
I think that's how you should feel.
Yeah. Next off, Adam Ottavino surprisingly opted out of his contract, which I was a little shocked.
How much was he getting? Or how much would he have gotten?
6.
Okay. 6, 7.
6
we'll
and a
say that
quarter.
ballpark. We'll say that ballpark.
Somewhere around there. So I was a little surprised because I thought he liked being in New York, but obviously I think just in the direction the Mets are now going in, he was a little caught off guard, which a lot of people are, which I was as well. So I don't blame him. I get it. I also don't think he's going to get a better contract.
I think it's just a thing of he got, like, with him, he's what, 37, 38?
Yeah.
He only has 1, maybe 2 years left.
Right.
To play in the MLB.
Yeah.
He wants to win a ring.
Yeah.
He has not won a ring yet. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because he was what? Rockies, Yankees, Red Sox?
Yeah.
So he's not won a ring.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to win a ring. And, like, I don't blame him. He made his money.
Right.
He has the right to ring chase. Like, people use it as a bad thing, but, like, it's not like he's going to be useless on that team. He's going to be one of the better bullpen arms.
Yeah. And I think, or I believe, he went to Stearns to kind of maybe restructure his contract. Kind of like, hey, I still want to be here, but, like, things are different. And Stearns, from what I've read, didn't seem too open to that.
Well, it's also not his guy.
Right. Again, yeah, exactly. He had a relationship with Epler. He had a relationship with Buck. Like,
that's something to note too, just for everyone else. Like, whenever a new regime comes in, it's always important to note that they didn't bring those guys in.
Right. So they don't have any affinity for them.
They may not like them at all.
Right. Stearns might look at Ottavino, look at his numbers, and be like, yeah, he's not gonna.
He's old.
Right. He's not gonna work next
well.
year.
No.
And I'm pretty sure his FIP was over 4, so maybe this is a blessing in disguise.
Uh-huh.
But as a person, I like Ottavino. I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah,
he's
nice
been
guy.
on SNY recently, which I thought was a little odd, but I always love just hearing pitchers talk pitching, so that's great. But
especially him, he is such a in the best way possible. He's such a nerd.
Yeah,
he's such a nerd. And I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah,
because like with his pitching lab and like all that.
Right, and he's the prototypical pitcher. Like he's a pitcher. He pitches. He doesn't throw. I love it.
No.
But
that just no velo.
Yeah. That's just another spot to fill now, so bullpen's going to be extremely interesting.
There's a lot of very interesting bullpen guys, though.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of very interesting ones.
There is definitely options. Forget about top options, too. But next up, on a little more sadder note, wow, that sounded really... It sounded like someone's going to, die. No. But No, more disappointing note. David Peterson, he's going to be out 6 to 7 months.
I thought you were gonna say he was gonna. I forgot about that. I thought you were gonna say he was gonna slide into the 5 spot.
No.
I was gonna...
A little more disappointing news. No. But he had surgery to repair the labrum in his hip, which I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up. And it's basically where your leg meets your hip, like kind of like that like connection. He had surgery there.
You made that word up.
Yeah, sorry.
Where's your normal labrum again?
Nah. Probably somewhere in the elbows or like shoulders, I would have to guess.
Where is
Where
your labrum? Shoulder labrum is a type of rubbery cartilage that lines the shoulder socket.
Right.
Yes.
It's like you know, like action figures. If you take them apart and those little like ball joints where you can connect it, that's your labrum.
It's almost like your shoulder blade or like your shoulder itself.
Right. It's like your socket almost.
Okay.
So
I only. It's not a Cowboys podcast, so I won't say it. But go on.
Okay, but I read obviously on it, and he actually dealt with a chronic hip issue like in the past, which I had no idea. So who knows if that had anything to do with last year's performance? I will say it will, just to fit my narrative, because I still very much like David Peterson. So.
It like goes back and forth. Like if it's chronic, wouldn't you have been dealing it for a while?
Right. He would know how to deal with it, maybe.
Maybe it just got so worse, and now it may also be a thing. And now, how does he adjust to not having to compensate for it?
Right.
Is that good? Is that bad?
Right.
We won't know until he pitches.
So now I think the Mets are going to go out and sign 3 starters when I thought they could maybe work with only signing 2, because I do not trust Tyler McGill as
Does that
the 5
make
spot.
it less likely they sign Yamamoto?
I don't know, and I'll get into that in a few.
Okay. So should I save kind of the comment I was going to make? Okay.
Yes. But getting into the GM meetings, the juicy stuff, I'm going to get the big one out of the way. Pete Alonso. Obviously, trade rumors went back to the trade deadline.
I forget, he signed with Boris, right?
He's a Boris guy now. So, this is coming from Stearns himself. I do not anticipate him getting traded. I don't draw lines in the sand, and I'm never going to say never, but I absolutely think it's fair that I don't anticipate him being traded. What do you get from that?
He's not being traded. I think it's a good way he worded that, where you do never want to say never.
Right.
Just because, like, say, like, oh, we know, especially in the New York media, you said you're never going to trade him. Especially a guy like that, like, you trade him, and the fans are going to be all over you. So, you never said you were going to trade him.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. So I think it's a way just, like, save face on the 1% chance he gets traded. But to me, it sounds like he's not getting traded. You are going to find an extension with him. Right. Especially with Stevie Cohen's money.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you don't sign an extension now, I think there's still a good chance he goes to free agency, he comes back, whatever.
So that's how you feel about it too, kind of?
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Like saving face?
Right. I would say that's a good way to put it, just saving face. Because, again, you never do want to say never. It sucks, obviously, because I like Alonso, but it would be bad business to not listen.
You never know what's... He could get hurt very badly. I'm not going to say a specific injury, because then if that happens, I'm horrible. But he could get very badly to the point where he's not the same player anymore, and you get traded on a team that buys on the upside or wherever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, you never do want to say never, because sports is such rapidly evolving that you never know what's going to happen.
Definitely.
So I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
But
this is, like, the second time he's doubled down on, that he doesn't think he'll be traded, doesn't anticipate him being traded, so...
Really? In, like, the week he's been there?
Well, in his opening press conference after they signed him, he was like, I think he will be the opening day first baseman. And then something else that piqued my interest, Boris himself said in his Boris way.
Oh, my God.
You know what? I didn't have the quote down, but it was basically something as extension talks, like with the polar bear, or like our non-hibernation or something. Like something like that. Something stupid and very Boris-y. I'll give you a second to see if you can find it.
Just keep going.
But basically, he said that an extension is not out of the question, and that coming from Boris is pretty big, I would say.
They view Pete as a core part of their team. We let Stearns know that when it comes to the polar bear, we're not in contract hibernation. We're opening to listening. Pete has directed me to listen to what they have to say.
Right. I hate
I hate
the
it.
way he talks. But regardless,
I think
from a Boris client, I think that says a lot.
I also think it's a thing of Scott Boras is telling him, you want to be a Met? You want to be a Met?
Right.
You want to be a Met? Look at how much money you'll get
Money.
being a Met. Be a Met.
Exactly.
Be a Met.
Look how much they paid Lindor. Look how much they paid Scherzer, Verlander. Look how much they were willing to give Correa.
I am shocked if he doesn't get extended. Like, I am absolutely shocked.
Like, before the season?
Eh,
Or just
I'd be shocked if he...
wasn't a Met long term.
Yes. Like, he may not get extended before the season, whatever, just
Right.
'cause leverage, whatever. That.
Right.
But
it
I would
happens.
be shocked if he goes to another team.
I know. I would be too, and I would be very upset if he wasn't. But again, Scott Boras.
Especially with, so I was just gonna
You're
say,
good.
especially with Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen knows what makes money. He knows that Alonso buys tickets.
Yeah.
He is not gonna let him leave.
Yeah. I would hope the same. But coming from a Boris client, that's huge. Obviously, his clients are more used to, I guess, going to free agency. I mean, the only one that top of my head,
More willing.
yeah, Steven Strasburg was a Boris client.
He was going into free agency. I thought.
I thought he.
I
don't
thought
think
him
so.
and Rendon were both free agents because it
Were
was the
they?
whole thing of which one would you rather keep.
Oh, then maybe never mind.
I'm
Then.
pretty sure they both were free agents.
But regardless, basically, his clients usually don't sign extensions, and him saying that they're listening, I think, is huge.
yeah.
But that's all I have on Pete. The next big topic, which shouldn't be a topic, which it shouldn't even be in question. It's a very easy decision.
Mhm.
Daniel Vogelbach. They are uncertain if he will be given a contract.
Get out the 21 gun salute.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He obviously brings on-base skill to the table. I still think he should be non-tendered just because he is going to clog up that DH spot. And I don't think you can have him on the bench just because he doesn't bring anything else.
He's also that type of guy that needs to play to actually be like consistent.
Right.
Inconsistent with him is
He's an average hitter at best. And sure, coming off the bench, for a guy, if you need a guy to get on base, you can call Vogelbach and he'll probably do it. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't run well. He doesn't play any defensive positions.
No.
It clogs up a roster spot that I
he
just
doesn't.
don't think that Mets can waste right now.
Yeah.
So the deadline to non-tender is in about a week. I don't have that much. Yeah, a little less than a week. A week from Friday that just passed. So the 17th. So we'll know by the end of this week what's gonna happen
We're
with
recording this
Vogelbach.
on Saturday, by the way.
Yes.
Just so if something happens on Sunday.
Yeah,
Monday
exactly.
Morning.
But I think they should non-tender him. I just think
agree.
he's gonna clog up a roster spot. But next up. So obviously Stearns talked to the media. He had a much better press conference than Cashman.
But the bar was like in hell.
Yeah, the bar was set extremely low. Obviously, he said pitching is a priority. Who would have guessed it? But the thing that caught my attention is, I don't have the quotes in front of me, but basically he said that
Stearns?
star pitching is not necessarily the answer. Meaning that they can work with signing a few mid-tier guys. You don't need to sign that one big fish, essentially. Which, in this case, would
I'm happy.
be Yamamoto.
Yeah.
So that's why I told you to hold your thought, because I'm not sure what Stearns' plan is. I'm not sure if he
Mhm.
wants to go that ace pitching route or kind of like that solid pitching route.
Mhm.
Because you can still win with solid starters. You don't
I
need...
can't find the quote, by the way.
It's okay. I had a hard time finding it too. But yeah, not necessarily star pitching. So kind of building off of the mid-tier guys.
I think it's also a thing of, especially with the David Peterson injury.
Yeah.
I'm just making up a number when I say this. Say that you have $75 million that you're gonna put towards a pitcher.
Yeah.
That's way too much. 60. Let's say 60. you can't afford to give Yamamoto a contract and then sign 2 other guys if you want them to actually be impact players in your rotation.
Right.
So I think it's one of those things of like, you can't go. Let's do 50. 50 is a better number. You can't go 35 and 15 because what about the other guy? You're giving a guy 0 money. I think it would be a lot better to do like 20, 15, 15 or something like that.
Right. Yeah, because when you get to the...
I'm just throwing numbers out there, by the way, just to like paint a picture.
When you get below like that 10 million mark, even that 15 million mark, it's the weight. It's like the flyer guys. It's like, it's the Hunjing Ryus, the Severinos, Montas even, like kind of trying to catch lightning in a bottle from a guy who had a bad year and or injuries.
Yeah.
So I also think
both, most often both.
Both, yeah.
James Paxton isn't Paxton's free agent?
Yes.
Paxton, just go on.
I also think they basically tried the whole star pitching thing twice now.
Mm-hmm.
You had DeGrom, Scherzer, obviously didn't work out because DeGrom got injured. You had Scherzer, Verlander, obviously didn't work out. So maybe they're looking past, like, all right, that didn't work. Obviously, the pitchers in this market are younger, but that 1-2 punch didn't work. So maybe we need to move on to, a average rotation rather than top heavy.
That's what I was gonna kind of say what you just said, but like the counterpoint is Yamamoto is 12 years younger than when you signed Scherzer, 13 years younger,
15.
He's a child. He's a high schooler.
Yeah, comparatively.
The difference.
Yeah.
I think that does have like so much more to do about it because you get older guys out of their prime.
Definitely.
Either out of their prime in Scherzer or injury concerns with Verlander and DeGrom.
Right.
So I think a guy like Yamamoto is very different than that. So I think and they do like realize it.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, but yeah. And lastly, third base situation. So Stearns basically said that he's probably going to leave it up to Beatty and Mauricio to kind of like battle it out. And, he's very good in how he says things. Because basically it was that you're going to have in-house competition, but he wouldn't rule out an external candidate.
Mm-hmm.
That being Matt Chapman, most likely, or a Justin Turner, who's probably more of a DH. But Matt Chapman, no thank you. I wouldn't mind Chapman if he wasn't looking for a long-term contract over $100 million. Like, he's good for what he does. He's a good defender. Just very streaky, very high strikeouts, that sort of thing. And he doesn't pull the ball for some reason now, which really killed his home run total last year. But I wouldn't mind Matt Chapman, but he shouldn't be a priority. Like I said last time, I do think third base should be left up for internal candidates.
If you had to say someone who you think is going to be a third baseman, go.
Between the two?
If you had to give one.
I would probably lean Beatty still.
Uh-huh.
I'm still not high on Mauricio. I still think he strikes out too much. He doesn't get on base, He played third base a little bit, not a lot. He played second base. I think that you could go into spring training with third base and second base up for grabs. Because you could theoretically move McNeil to a full-time outfield and have Mauricio at second, Beatty at third. Like, if they both have really good spring trainings, I think that could be a way to go. But if I were to guess, I would probably say Beatty, just because he's also just a primary third baseman. Mauricio isn't.
So what would you say is that second?
Mauricio would be at second. What?
I don't know would be at third.
Oh my God.
That's what I was trying to set you up to say that.
Oh.
The whole time.
Yeah, didn't catch that at all.
When you were talking about third base, I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not sure. And then obviously the guy who kind of didn't get any love, Vientos, Stearns said it like out front. He sees him more as a bat first guy, which is, I think, pretty evident.
I think
from,
that is a fair assessment to be made about Mark Vientos.
Yes, I believe so as well. So he could be an internal DH candidate, backup first baseman type.
But you already have Vogelback at DH.
I hope not. He shouldn't be. Enough of this platoon crap. Like, I'm so sick of platoons. Like, sign a DH
unless you're the
and
Rays,
let him DH.
Unless you are the Rays, you can't do it right.
No. I'm so sick of platoon. So sick of it. You need a DH who's going to be a DH
I think
6 out of 7 days.
I think part of it is that Vogelback is your primary DH and a part of the platoon, so I think that's part of the reason you don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, I think if it was like a Jock Peterson,
I
think you would love it so much more to have a platoon.
Right.
But with Vogelback being the lefty in the platoon, who gets, what would you say, 3 out of 5 starts, 4 out of 5 starts?
Yeah.
Let's say 7 out of 10 starts.
Yeah.
That's, I think, where the issue is.
That's the issue. Especially when you're batting him, like, 5, 6. Like, that's just not where he belongs. Regardless, sounds like third base is going to be an internal fight, which I agree with. And then that's all I got for the GM meetings. So player rumors. The fun stuff. The speculation. Yeah. So, Teoscar Hernandez, I talked about last episode. He did not receive a qualifying offer.
Interesting.
Exactly. I
feel
thought
like
the
he
same
just takes
thing.
that.
I don't know. It was $20 million, which is a steep-ish.
For Teoscar Hernandez?
Right, which is a steepish price, but at the same time, I feel like I doubt he would take it. So I feel like the Mariners kind of missed out on a draft pick there.
Mm-hmm.
But that works in the Mets' favor because I think the Mets should be looking at him. And obviously, with no qualifying offer, they wouldn't have to give up a draft pick to sign him. So I thought that was interesting, and it just furthers my point and why they should be looking at him. And next, which I also talked about last episode, look at me go, the Brewers sound like they are open for business. Virtually any player is available.
That's something I forgot to talk about in the Yankees, but yeah, go on.
Who does that entail? Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta. You want a salary dump? Christian Yelich.
I don't think Yelich works for you guys, though. Well, I'm also comparing it to the Yankees. I don't think that Yelich would be a guy guys would necessarily go after.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I feel like he's more of the same for you guys.
Such as?
Like a lefty bat that has good contact. You know what I mean? I feel like if you're taking on a guy's salary, you would want to take on a guy's salary that is what you were looking for. Because you're saying the whole time, like, all the guys that you're listing as free agent targets are righty outfielders.
Right.
Why would you want a lefty outfielder? Just make that lineup even more left-hand dominant.
It's not even that lefty dominant.
Well, the whole thing is you guys need another righty power bat to go with Alonso.
Yeah, and that's more so of the fact that they just can't hit lefties. And obviously, righties can hit lefties better. But if you're a lefty, you can hit lefties, and come on, I'm bored. Like, I don't care. But obviously,
we're finding the splits.
Yeah. I think the Yelich thing is a little far-fetched. But obviously, Burns would take up a lot more prospect capital.
Mm.
But Freddie Peralta could be an interesting find. He obviously has some injury concerns. How the splits? How are we looking? Not good? Really? Are you looking at career or last year?
2023.
Okay.
Because career, I feel like, would be skewed with, like, 2
Fair
years.
enough.
2023, he had 294 against righties and 234 against lefties.
How's that OPS looking?
I'm looking for it right now. Whereas, because you gotta, I don't like the way that Fangraphs is sometimes. He has a 139 WRC plus against righties, a 73 against lefties.
Oof. Yikes.
You got your platoon bat.
No, thank you.
But that's
yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just don't think that would be a right fit. I think you'd be a perfect player for the Yankees.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's a fit for the Mets.
Mets, yeah. That's fair. I think also I'm just thinking how to bring down the price, basically. Like, if you take on a majority contract.
Mm-hmm.
But
I could see that. I could see it, but I don't know if that's the right move.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys just got so many prospects that you'd be fine just trading those guys.
Yeah, that's also true. And then, last but not least, the White Sox are also open for business.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really the calling card for Mr. Dylan Cease, who, personally, I'm not a fan
He's Blake
of.
Snell on crack.
Yeah, he's the righty Blake Snell. He walks a ton of guys.
He's a better righty Blake Snell.
I wouldn't say better. He's had one good year.
Well, it's more of a thing of Blake Snell is so up and down.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to tell me Blake Snell has 2 Cy Youngs? Or is going to have 2 Cy Youngs?
I know.
That just doesn't make sense.
I can't believe it.
But
Can't believe it. But I think they also said Eloy Jimenez is also available.
that would be...
Obviously, he's a fit, but injuries. Oh my, injuries. But Cease and Jimenez, that kind of works a little bit, but...
There is no shot this happens, but anything on Robert?
I did not see anything about Robert.
Imagine a Cease
Cease
Bob package.
That would be
Because I don't think that's gonna happen. I
Yeah.
don't think it's like remotely close to happening.
If they're keeping someone, they're keeping
But
Robert.
I'm just thinking, imagine the possibility of that.
Yeah. But I'm not very high on Cease. I don't like his outlook. I think he just walks too many guys. I said it last year too, going into this year, to myself at least. That I didn't like how many guys he walked, and kind of caught up to him, I think, this year.
He has a career 3.8 ERA.
Huh. And again, he's only had one spectacular year. You know, I feel like the White Sox are going to want, like, a lot in return for... They're probably going to sell him as ace-level stuff when he's probably a better...
2.3.
2-3, yeah.
It's tough because it's like so tough because like he is durable.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, 32 starts, 32 starts, 33 starts.
33.
In 2021 and 2023, that was tied with the league lead.
Right.
But then you also look at his innings.
Right.
In 2021, when he tied the league in game started, 165 innings. This year, 177. Last year, 184.
Right.
And that's while having 32 and 33 starts.
Yeah. Like, he does not.
He can't go
pitch
deep.
A lot. Which, again, is another issue for the Mets. The Mets need someone who can actually go deep into starts, like Aaron Nola. But that's besides the point.
Something interesting, too, his FIP is
It's like
8 points lower
like
than his ERA this year. 0.8 lower.
Really? So what's
His
that?
ERA is 4.58, and then FIP's 3.72. So about 8.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. I don't think, off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I don't think the White Sox had that great of a defense, so that kind of makes sense.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, interesting.
I have it up, so I'm
Yeah.
like looking at the
No,
numbers.
definitely. But, yeah, that's all I got for that.
No.
Fun times.
I didn't even think about him. That's a very interesting name.
Cease?
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
definitely,
interesting name.
definitely. I think you're definitely looking for upside there. So,
Led the league in walks twice, by the way.
yeah.
Led the league in wild pitches 2 times
yeah,
also.
Control.
And those
horrible.
2 times were in 2 different years.
Horrible.
2020 and 2022, he led the league in walks. And 2021, 2023, he led the league in wild pitches. So he's going based off this, he's going to lead the league in walks next year.
Which I think is just...
Is incredible
Not-
analysis.
Yes, thank you.
But the
No,
put the house on it.
yeah, exactly. He seems like an every other year type of guy. No,
I mean, hey, then he'd be great next year.
fair enough. But yeah, so off season's just beginning. This is just the start. We haven't even scratched the surface. We're just grasping at straws and just like anything that comes at us. It's like a hamster.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a really weird analogy.
I
It's
know
like
what you're talking
it's like
about.
a hamster with like a little watering tank. It's like
Yep. Yep.
you're just waiting for some sustenance.
I think that. Do you have anything else to say?
Not really.
I think that. So I'll close it on this.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that nothing's gonna happen until Yamamoto signs.
Yep.
Whether it be Yankees, whatever. I just think that the way, because we were talking about this earlier, the way that I see it, is that he is the guy in this free agency. And
Oh,
his
yeah.
market's not really going to be affected by other guys signing because he's coming over from Japan.
Right.
So I don't really think, and there's some Japanese pitchers that are coming over, but no one even close to his level.
Yeah.
And another thing too is the posting thing.
Yep,
So how it
posting
works
fee.
is he's going to be posted within about a week,
Yeah, give
something
or
like
take.
that. He has 45 days to sign. If you know anything about that, will be off season. It's long.
Yes.
So just doing like rough numbers, he's probably going to sign before the new year.
Yeah.
I think that when he signs, everything happens. after that.
Frenzy.
I think
Yeah.
that that's how it's going to go because pretty much every team that's in on Soto, Bellinger, pretty much all the top guys, they're in on Yamamoto.
Yeah.
So I think that, and he is that type of guy that you build your offseason around him, and if you don't get him, you have to change your entire plan.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what is going to happen.
I think that's fair. I think it's going to be between him and Ohtani.
I forget he's a free agent.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
forget, 'cause it's just not going to happen for either team. So
Yeah,
I feel like
know. I know it sucks too because I'd love to talk about him, but from a pitching perspective, they're gonna wait on Yamamoto. From a hitter's perspective, it's probably gonna be Ohtani / Bellinger. But Bellinger will probably wait on Ohtani. Whatever. So we got a long ways to go, but we'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah.
Our thoughts and our expert analysis.
Expert analysis by looking at Baseball Reference for 2 seconds.
Yes. Yes. No one else can do that. Just us.
Only us.
Yes. But anything else?
We're gonna find out who's getting punished next week. Most likely you.
Most likely. Yeah. Yeah. Our awards this week?
Yeah, they should be.
Coming, something like that. Yeah, I think so.
Should be within a week or two. I think that they're this week. If they're not
Yeah.
this week, it'll be next week, and then
Soon.
Soon.
Soon. So we'll see how that goes. I don't like my chances, so we'll see.
I love my chances.
I'm sure you do. But is that it? Yeah.
Ah.
No? Yeah? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, reminder to subscribe so you keep up to date. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. X. Sorry. X.
Mark Spot.
Follow us on TikTok and Spotify. But thank you guys for watching, and we will see you, hear you.
We won't hear them.
No,
We
you will
won't see
hear
them
us.
either. Yeah.
You will see us and hear us in the next episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.